Get the latest local news, obituaries, police blotter, weather forecast, and more with no paywall. Head to DeWittDailyNews.com to get the local information you need to know.
Life is uncertain. Stop in and see me, State Farm Agent Jason France, on the west side of the Clinton Square, or click our icon at DeWittDailyNews.com and see how our full lineup of State Farm insurance and financial services can help protect your family.
Local farm broadcaster Jared White covers the local agriculture news you need to know. Hear his reports by downloading the free WHOW mobile app.
Hey, this is Todd Gleason from Illinois Extension here with a time change for our daily market report on WHOW. You can now catch our daily review of the commodity markets at 5:06 on all of WHOW's many platforms. You'll still hear all of our commodity analysts and weather professionals each afternoon, but at a brand new time. And you'll still hear the weekly wrap-up of the commodity markets right here on WHOW when Commodity Week airs Saturdays at 8:30 a.m. Remember the time change for the daily closing market report on WHOW at our new time, 5:06 p.m. weekdays.
Today's morning show can be heard by downloading the free WHOW mobile app in your favorite store.
Top of the morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW morning show streams to Facebook and YouTube. It's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Joining me in this segment of the morning show is Callie McFarland. She is the Director of Community Development for the city of Monticello. Callie, good to talk to you this morning. How are you today?
Yeah. I'm good. How are you?
Doing well. Thanks for asking and appreciate you making time for us as always. A lot happening in Monticello, Callie. The theme of our first segment of the program is going to be planning. A lot to talk about here. Now, I don't want to say last time, but perhaps within the last couple of visits that we've had, we've talked about the community embarking on strategic planning, and encompassing that as well will be comprehensive planning. Just give us kind of the quick overview, Callie, of what this is all about, why the city's doing this now, and we can dive in maybe a little deeper from there.
Absolutely. So, there's that old, I think JFK said it, you fail to plan and you plan to fail, right? So I'm an urban planner by profession. So naturally, I want to know what we're going to do and how we're going to do it, where we're going to be, and what we're going to do when we grow up. So a lot of things that cities and even businesses do are strategic plans and comprehensive plans. A comprehensive plan is about a 20-year plan or so, where it kind of loosely guides the community where they want to be in the future. It accommodates anything from housing to land use to transportation to recreation to future expansions, in addition to existing areas. So is there redevelopment purposes or potential in the existing areas they have? And then along with that is a more short-term plan called the strategic plan. That's usually about a 5-year plan. And that kind of is the roadmap of how we're going to get there, what we can accomplish of this bigger plan in the next few years. And these are the things that, again, the community's plan, but the city council, the city leaders are who kind of guides it and makes it happen. Mm-hmm. So it's a pretty exciting process. It involves a lot of public input. So we get to see what everyone's thinking, and I feel sorry for the consultants who kind of facilitate and funnel that all to make sense, because you have a lot of different ideas and opinions. But it's very exciting to see what everyone's thinking about and how they feel about their community.
Sure. Now, when you get all these voices together, Callie, do you try to, I don't want to say navigate the conversation, but maybe keep the conversation to somewhat of a theme? Or is it really just kind of a big free-for-all of, opinions and thoughts and, all those things? Like, how does that conversation typically go?
Yeah, and then that's where having a good facilitator really is an asset to the program, because you want to make sure you're keeping everybody on track and focused. But we're working with Northern Illinois University, the Center for Governmental Affairs, I believe, and they are. This is kind of their jam. This is what they're doing, and so they're grouping the input sections down into different sectors, so residents and businesses, and then the city leaders will have their opportunity as well. And so every opportunity for input is kind of geared towards that different sector.
Mm-hmm. What's some of the history on this, Callie? Like, when was the last time these plans were looked at? What has changed in the community? What has been successful from previous plans that maybe you're ready to check off the list and start on the next thing? What are some of those types of pieces we could talk about today?
Sure. So our last time we did our plans was in 2013, and one of the things we noticed, we did get a lot done, especially in the strategic plan. We did accomplish a lot of those goals, but one of the things we noticed is our dynamic of the community changed from an employment side, from a tourism side, from a recreation side. We've had a lot of new projects that kind of presented themselves, and not to say our old plan wasn't accommodating with those. So, economies change and just communities themselves change. So you have to update your plans accordingly. It's supposed to be a living document where you can kind of tweak it to accommodate those future goals.
So when it comes to the things that you have, like I said, that you're looking at that you need to tweak or things of that nature, what has changed and how do you go about? Is it just a modification of the existing plan? Do you need to come up with something completely new? How do you handle that situation?
What we're probably looking at is a modification of the existing plan. One of the things, 10 years ago, we didn't have an issue with housing, and we didn't have healthcare was still a prominent industry in our community, but not to the degree it is right now. So we're seeing a lot of spinoffs from those two components being related. We have a lot going on, with our parks right now that they were addressed, but not to this full scale. And then even tourism is another area that it was pretty limited in the plan. And I think we have a lot of opportunity if we truly focus on that now to help the community grow and accommodate that for both interests.
Again, our guest on the phone today, Callie McFarland, is the Director for Community Development for the City of Monticello. Callie, how long does this process take? How many opportunities do you give the community for their input? And then talk about narrowing down everything that you hear and how it, all of that input comes together for the formulation of of a modified plan and things of that nature. What's the step after that community engagement component?
Sure. So there's multiple opportunities for community engagement. The community will actually have a website dedicated to this process where they can provide input. It's kind of neat because it's very interactive. If there's an area in town that they think needs improvements, they can click on it. They can add their comments, do what they need to do. One thing I want to stress that this isn't to address potholes on the street. We're talking long-term plans here. So. Mm-hmm. So in 10, 20 years, what are areas of the community that we would like to see improved upon? Maybe there's a drainage issue in this one area. Maybe there's no parks in another quadrant. So we're thinking not so much day-to-day maintenance, but long-term. So that's going to be something that we'll be releasing here in the next few weeks for the community to Monticello residents and businesses to provide their input on through that website portal. Mm-hmm. Again, there's stakeholder and steering committee meetings that are going to be going on throughout November of this year. And then the Northern Illinois folks are going to kind of funnel it all, put it all together. We're looking at an end date of next July of 2023. So it's going to be multiple months. It's going to be a long-term process. In addition to these two plans, we're actually doing a housing study as well, which will kind of help jump on the coattails of those future needs. Mm-hmm. We know we have a shortage of these things. And so, looking at the comprehensive plan, where will these next housing subdivisions look or go to? Are there opportunities for redevelopment in some of the existing areas of town? So mm-hmm. it's a pretty exciting process.
What's the difference between strategic planning and comprehensive planning?
So comprehensive is kind of a bigger, high level scope or picture of where you want to be in the next 20 years. Strategic is how we're going to get there on a more short-term basis. So, we have our long-term vision in the comprehensive plan, and the strategic plan is, okay, in the next 5 years, what are some things we can accomplish from budgetary sides, from policy making sides, and that's something that the council will kind of take direction on.
Well, and it's funny you say that because that's what I was going to ask next. How do you balance, those big things that you want to accomplish. Say, we'll talk about this in a minute, but say new parks or, you talk about subdivisions and things of that nature. How do you balance those dreams with what the city can afford, within its budgetary confines?
Yeah, and that's something that, they're going to have to weigh out. And as you're looking at expansion opportunities and redevelopment opportunities, the comprehensive plan document is what the Planning and Zoning Board uses as their guidance for when they approve these potential projects. So, it's kind of a multifaceted process that you got to get all the people looking at the right things and thinking the right way for the best interest of the community.
Mm-hmm, for sure. So does turnover in leadership at all impact these plans and their execution?
It can, but the thing we need to remember is it's not an individual's opinion. So, you'll always have a mixture of different opinions, but the council as a whole is who acts.
Mm-hmm.
So it's whatever that body as a whole, whatever direction they're taking them in.
Gotcha. Well, Callie, let's dive into, by the way, anything on strategic comprehensive planning I didn't mention you want to put out there for us, anything along those lines?
No, I think we're good.
Let's dive into parks, because that's, you mentioned that's probably a big chunk of what is going to be in some of these planning pieces. And so, and this has been, a hot topic with you and I over our last several visits. So what are some of the latest with the parks and the outlooks on those in the community?
Yeah, well, if you know me, I'm a big advocate for parks and green space and communities. I think our parks to people ratio is pretty low in Monticello. We're very fortunate, though, to have the Allerton Park and Launch Park assets just outside of our city limits, so that kind of makes up for it. But one of the things we noticed is we don't have a lot of facilities that actually belong to the city that the city can use. So we started many years ago. The city acquired 30 acres in the library. They're working with the library now to get an additional 5 acres on an outdoor recreation site, which we're calling Oberheim Park, and we're very excited about. Within the last few months, the city has paid to have that plan updated to kind of reflect the passions of Chris Oberheim, who is a Monticello resident, with baseball and everything. And it's just this gorgeous facility. Anything from a sledding hill to baseball field to walking path, fishing pond. It's gorgeous. If you go to oberheimpark.com, you can see kind of a rendering of that. But so the Rec Foundation is working with a couple different groups on trying to promote that and do some fundraising for it. So we're very excited about that one. Another opportunity that we have is Veterans Park. So we don't actually have a Veterans Park. We have Robert Burke Memorial Park, which has the pool and everything, but nothing that really kind of honors our veterans and our active duty members. So we have this parcel of land. It's not very developable, but it's right on the main highway through town. And we kind of came up with this idea of, could we maybe incorporate some of the signage we have around the community that's honoring our active duty servicemen, doing something maybe to honor our veterans. We kind of have a local tie with one of the servicemen from World War II that helped with the Iwo Jima, the initial statue for Iwo Jima. And would there be an opportunity there? We've been in conversations with that owner of that statue as well. So there's a lot of things that could really be neat to kind of to honor all those that have served. Right on it would be a gorgeous way to my brain just completely blanked out. It would be a wonderful way to present to anyone walking or anyone driving by that, we appreciate everything our veterans do, and here's a wonderful monument and way to recognize that. So that's another one that we're just starting on the master plan and kind of rendering for what that could look like. Mm-hmm. Again, it's not a big area, it's not a big park, but it's some of the preliminary ideas and designs that we've seen, we're so excited about. So mm-hmm. It's just a great way to put at the entrance to town. So those are just two of them.
Yeah, that's true. Well, Callie, I'll tell you what, maybe let's take a time out here and we'll dive more into these projects and a bit more going on in the community. In the meantime, where do folks go to learn about all things City of Monticello?
They go to cityofmonticello.net.
Very good. Callie McFarland, Director of Community Development for Monticello, Illinois, our guest on the phone. The morning show streams to Facebook and YouTube. It's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. More to come on the morning show.
Let's check the opening numbers now at the Chicago Board of Trade on this Tuesday. I'm Jim Taylor for the RFD Radio Network. Corn steady, beans higher, and wheat starting the day higher. May corn 7.85 3/4, up 1 1/4. July corn up 1 1/4, 7.73 1/4. December new crop unchanged 7.10 3/4. May beans starting the day up a nickel. 16.26. July beans 15.97 1/4, up 12. And November new crop 14.55, up 8 1/4. July wheat 10.96 1/2, that's up 3 3/4. September wheat 10.99 1/2, up 4, and December wheat up 4 1/4, 11.04 3/4. May bean meal 414.90, up 3.80, and May bean oil 87.18. That's down $1.22. Look at the opening numbers at the Chicago Board of Trade on this Tuesday morning. Jim Taylor, RFD Radio Network.
Having a hard time finding the correct new car, truck, SUV, or crossover to fit your needs? This is Scott Baum from Bob Chevrolet Buick here in Clinton. Some lots look low on inventory, so go to our website, look at our pre-order and reserve tab. You'll see inventory in transit, which are built and on their way to Clinton, and in production, new Chevys and Buicks, which are being built and will arrive soon. Or you can always call our sales team. They can help you find the correct one just for you. BombChevyBuick.com, right from the start.
MR Systems Wireless is your local internet provider for Clinton and surrounding area. They have the products you want and the local service you deserve. MR Systems Wireless Internet service for home or business includes unlimited data, unlimited streaming, and unlimited calling. Plans start at just $48 a month and get a free Roku 4 lease with our media packages. Get the speed you need with MR Systems Wireless. Call them at 935-2100. That's 935-2100 for MR Systems Wireless.
Tell Amazon Alexa, play WHOW Radio to hear the morning show and all our programming right there on your Amazon Echo.
Once again, a good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube. It's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. My guest on the phone today, Callie McFarland, Director of Community Development for the city of Monticello. And Callie, we were talking about development of parks in the community, and a couple of those, Oberheim Park and the Veterans Memorial that you were discussing there. And, just a couple of things to kind of piggyback and wrap that discussion up with is, community involvement with some of those. How much is the community going to have to take a stake in in these processes, and especially, financial stakes in that as well? How about that breakdown for us?
Yeah, so this is something that, we obviously want community buy-in from. With the Oberheim Park, that's a very, very grandiose plan, and we're so excited about it, but it does have a dollar tag associated with it, a price tag. So I think there will be some private participation in that one as well. That's why we have the Rec Foundation to do some fundraising. In terms of Veterans Park, I think that's something that we need to pin a price tag to that one. We're still a little preliminary there, but I think that's something that's a little more doable, just given the location and the proximity to where it's at and some of the tools we have associated with that site.
Mm-hmm. Very good. So look forward to all of those things coming together. And, it's going to be one of those things that, especially when you talk about community involvement, it's going to have to be those investments in the long haul. It's not, not even just the financial piece, but just the not adversity, I guess is the wrong word, but just being in it to see it to the end, I guess, is and lacking a word there. But it's going to have to be a long-term investment from a time perspective and energy perspective.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure. Well, Callie, let's dive into some other things going on in the city of Monticello. Again, Callie McFarland, Director of Community Development for the city of Monticello, is my guest on the phone for this morning. And parklets are back in downtown Monticello. And up until probably yesterday, there were a few days here and there that you were able to get out and enjoy those. But really, it's been quite a messy spring to get out and enjoy those. But now finally here, it looks like, and parklets are back in the city of Monticello.
Yes, about time too. We're so excited.
Tell us about parklets. What are parklets? What makes those unique? Why, and maybe a little bit of the history on how those came to be in your downtown.
Absolutely. So parklets are kind of cool. This is something that's been around for quite some time. Basically, it's an extension of an outdoor gathering or social area, right? So you're outdoor dining within a public parking space. So when COVID happened, 2 years ago now, some of our downtown restaurants, all of our downtown restaurants, did not have any outdoor space except for some of them maybe had enough for 2 tables on the patio or on the sidewalk. So with the restrictions not allowing them to have indoor dining, we thought, okay, we need to do something to expand their dining room outside. So the city and Main Street, we all kind of partnered together and brainstormed. And we kind of been working on this idea because we figured at some point something would open up, right? So in about a week, we threw together the parklet idea in our downtown, and we closed some parking spaces off in front of those downtown restaurants and put some fencing up, put some planter boxes out there, and let the restaurants kind of expand their tables outside, which worked out phenomenally. Last year, restrictions were obviously a little lessened, but we still wanted the parklets. And then this year, because we just like to make things that are great even better, we partnered with the industrial arts, one of the classes for the industrial arts at the high school, and they made us gorgeous planter boxes. I mean, they're amazing. I cannot believe how great they turned out. But they made us 15, and so we spruced up the area. We're getting some jackets for the pedestrian fencing in between that has our new branding on it. We're putting some lighting up there to make it a little more usable past 8 o'clock when it kind of gets a little dim. And it's just a great space. And I'm a big advocate for anything in downtowns that have people outside, because people see people and they say something's going on, and activity breeds activity, and it's just awesome and amazing and a wonderful response for any downtown if they do something like this. So yes, I'm very excited.
Yeah. The trade-off is certainly worth, taking up a couple of parking spaces, on the square. But what is the response from the community been on that? I venture a guess folks don't like the idea of a parking spot close to their restaurant being taken away. How about that?
Yeah, and it was interesting because in the past, people were always very, very territorial about parking. It's public parking on the street, but people always get, kind of their feathers a little ruffled if somebody was parking in front that wasn't necessarily patronizing their business. So we were a little nervous, and then we were nervous when we brought them back. Thought, okay, well, now the restrictions aren't quite as bad, so maybe people won't be as forgiving. But really, we have a lot of parking in downtown, and if you have to walk 2 blocks, you have to walk 2 blocks. So
right.
it's a good problem to have. I have never seen a downtown that has an abundance of parking anyway. But it's no different than, parking at Walmart and walking all the way in. You're still walking less. So we really haven't heard any complaints about it. To my knowledge, there haven't been any challenges with people taking advantage of it.
Mm-hmm.
We do have a parking officer that goes around, and kind of checks things, so to make sure things are still circulating accordingly. But it's really turned out it's a blessing for our downtown and our businesses. People love them, and I don't think they're going away anytime soon.
Sure, very good. Well, Callie, it's always good to catch up with you. I look at the clock. I can't believe it. We're out of time. How do folks learn more about all things Monticello, Illinois?
Go to citymonticello.net.
Callie, always good to talk to you. Thanks again for making time for us. Callie McFarland, Director of Community Development for the City of Monticello. The morning show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Network News is next.
The Big 1520 WHOW Clinton, 92.3 FM, W222 BG Clinton, 106.5 FM, W293 DJ Normal Bloomington.
News this hour from